Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Let's Play Every Day. I was going to say every damn day, but it's not. It's every day. I don't know why, but I just wanted to say that. Here you go. It begins. Darrell Thompson is to blame for this. This discussion we had. He man shows up and he starts just kind of.
Well, that explains everything right there.
There you go. Today's show brought to you by our good friends at Northern Lids Custom Patch and Knit Hats. And it's that time of year where if you're unhappy with 35 degrees like Willie, or if you're really happy with 35 degrees like me, Heather, and Darrell, you might need a knit hat. Or you can just stay with the custom patch hat. Either way, Northern Lids at northernlids.com. They got you covered. There is Willi Myles back from Texas, where he was down for Thanksgiving after sold out show and rave reviews. There is Heather Rule. Heather Rule is back with us again, back covering the high school prep beat. And Heather needs to go bowling today. She's in a bowling league. I love bowling. I was once the president of my bowling league. So I get it. I appreciate it. We'll get you out on time or we'll cut you loose. You can go. And the man working the stogie, DT Darrell Thompson, and we'll get right to it. We have a unconfirmed report from what I would say is a good source.
I think you just confirmed it.
Yes. Who put it out there that you were cited in the press box smoking a post-game victory cigar after the Gophers wrested the Axe away from Wisconsin. I'm assuming right now that you're giving me visual confirmation of this.
I'll send you all a video of me smoking a cigar in the press box. Absolutely.
Congratulations. You enjoyed it.
Fully confirmed. And it's a funny thing about it was I've never brought a cigar to the press box before. But I said, you know what? If we beat these guys, I'm going to smoke a cigar today inside the press box.
Wow.
So we won, and I mentioned it, and then I pulled that out of my bag. I had my cutter, I had my lighter, I had everything. So
yeah.
I fired that mofo right on up right there.
You bought the whole kit.
Oh no, I got the kit. I got it here at work. I got it. Oh. It's a nasty little habit. I don't smoke tons of cigars, but I do smoke when I got all the accoutrements.
Right.
Now, what have you got there in your hand?
I got a Monte Cristo right here. It's a nice little cigar. Yeah,
it's a tasty.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's what we call them.
Yeah.
Now, Willie, you don't drink at all, but you smoke cigars.
I don't drink. I don't smoke either. I will when I'm with my guys on a golf tournament. I do. I will fire one up. Probably 4 times a year when when the money exchange hands. Then you gotta ball out. You know what I mean? They don't know what I'm talking about. When you count that money, you got to have something in your mouth.
Because he's paying it out. It sounds like you're paying.
I'm counting. That's how I count it. Put it all on I can't hold it in my hand.
Well, I've seen Willie play golf. My guess is that he's a taker, not a giver.
There you go.
True that.
Yeah. All right. News broke Sunday that Gopher quarterback Tanner Morgan was going to take advantage of the NCAA's COVID policy and return for a 6th season next year. Then the Gophers announced yesterday that Mike Sanford Jr. would not return as the team's offensive coordinator next year. Mr. Thompson, did either of these developments surprise you?
Just a little bit surprised by Tanner Morgan coming back. I thought he might, try to move on and potentially play in the NFL, but also he had an up and down season. So, I don't know anyone who does not want to play in the NFL or professionally, so he's like, I can come back. He's an extremely known quantity. And, I think that's probably a good thing. And then Mike Sanford, not too terribly surprised by that. I don't think it was a good fit for him. That's probably the nicest way you can say it.
Tim, it's always sad when Tanner Morgan should play in the NFL?
Do I think he should?
Tim had a reaction when you said that he might play in the NFL.
Oh, I said he wants to play. I don't know anyone who does not want to play in the NFL or NBA or any of those things. So I'm like, oh, okay.
When I saw that announcement, he was coming back. I was like to be a graduate assistant, coach the quarterbacks. I could see that. I can understand where he's a great guy to have in the room and around your team, your culture. If you're trying to change the culture, I think he's probably a foundational piece. But when it comes to the actual game, and he played a nice game against Wisconsin, he did, and they needed him to, and he did. And all I'll say about that is it's about damn time. I just didn't see it. Is that Sanford? We've only seen, and I know he played with some splendid players in 2019, but you made a comment that was so telling to me earlier in one of our shows, Darrell, where you said, I just want to see him throw the ball to the open man, which is that to me was like Darrell Thompson was watching the game and I'm watching on TV, which means I'm not seeing what you're seeing, and you're seeing things that are there that he's not seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that, and also it comes down to maybe the reason that Coach Sanford's not here anymore. I think it's coaching and being encouraged to throw to the open man, encouraged to push the ball down the field sometimes, and encouraged to take a chance every once in a while. And I don't know if that was happening. Of course I don't, because I'm not in the meeting room.
Well, Willi Myles, you used to recruit at the college level. We are now living in the age of the transfer portal. And I wrote all this and sent this to you last night. I'm going to amend it just slightly. Since we did this, now comes, Lincoln Riley's leaving Oklahoma and going to USC. And now we find out that Notre Dame's coach is going to LSU. And that he's been there for 12 years. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he's been there for 12 years. So there's this seismic shift going on in college football right now. How critical is it to have a coach who is a recruiter like we have in PJ Fleck and to win the game of recruiting via the transfer portal? Because we live in this age where kids are going to be unhappy, they're leaving, or you might get a chance to get what you need.
Right. But I think it works both ways. I think it's important for the student athlete. If your coach leaves, that's who you came to play for. And if he decided to leave, you should be able to opt out of your deal and go somewhere else and be eligible to play immediately, just as he's eligible to coach immediately. And I think that PJ does a great job in terms of using that transfer. As a recruiter, like I was at St. Cloud State in football and in basketball, we did the same thing, but we did the JUCO route. We would get a lot of, you work those JUCO games and make sure you're getting the right kids to come out that can step right in and play and not sit. The transfer wasn't as big back in the day. You had to sit out a year. And that happened with Barry Waller when he transferred back to St. Cloud State from the U. But anyway, I think that's first of all, I think it's horrible for a coach to be able to just scatter like that. That to me is disturbing. After you've had your signing year, kids dedicated, they just I know when I signed, my father said, look, you just promised these people 4 years. So you get there and your word is your bond. That's it. That's all you got right now. You got no money. All you have is your word. And these coaches, I mean, I read the letter that this coach wrote to his players. I mean, and he's going to come and talk to them at 7 a.m. that, I'm leaving for a better job. I mean, these kids are like, we're going to a bowl game, man. It's just, that's really sad. When and I don't think a coach can't go take another job, but I just think there's a way you got to find a better way to do it than to just leave kids high and dry like that. But the transfer portal is very important. And I think that you're going to have a lot of kids transferring to a very, make coaches like PJ Fleck go out and look for some of those guys that may be looking to leave and say, hey, we got a spot for you here, especially if they can get a, quarterback.
I think that you look at the Gophers signing PJ when they did, it looks like a bargain now. A week or two later, it looks like it was a bargain. Am I wrong? Because, you look at what Franklin got at Penn State, what the guy got at Michigan State, now what Lincoln Riley is getting at USC, and we haven't even heard, but what must it have taken for LSU to get Brian Kelly away from Notre Dame?
$100 million. But here's the thing, Tim. Every time you sign those big deals, look what happens, though. I mean, you know what I mean? These guys, look, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, PJ signed his deal, lost the next game. Every coach at Michigan State, I mean, this guy lost. He got trampled the next week. I mean, it's like it's a jinx to sign those contracts. Sign them after the end of the season. Don't sign them in the middle of the season.
You sign it at the end of the season, you might be signing with somebody else.
That's right.
So there's a reason you sign it during the season. There's a little pressure from the community, from the newspapers.
Oh,
from,
yeah.
That was,
absolutely.
Coach Fleck, Coach Fleck going to USC. Coach Fleck going. People are asking this. I don't know. I don't know where he's going. So, yeah.
But I think if they hadn't done that, his name would have been potentially in play.
Yeah, no doubt. There's no question it would have been in play.
Well, for Minnesota, he's making a lot of money. So this ain't USC and this ain't LSU and this certainly ain't Notre Dame. So at the end of the day, you know, you only get, your pockets are only so deep in Minnesota. You're only going to pay people so much money, especially as a coach.
He could probably afford to go see a Willi Myles show, though.
You know what I'm saying? But he needs a book early because my shows
That's
sell
right.
out. I don't do no favors like that.
The bigger news on Sunday was that the Minnesota Twins had come to terms on a 7-year, $100 million contract with their oft-injured but supremely talented center fielder Byron Buxton. Heather Rule, you have watched this man play and that team more often and more closely than anyone else who appears on Let's Play every day. How do you feel about the Buxton signing?
I like it. Supremely talented. Focus on that part of it. I think the numbers are good. Well, first of all, they got the deal done. So it's nice. You can kind of stop seeing people. There were people I was seeing daily, like, you know, today would be a great day for them to sign Byron Buxton. And it was this big focus. I think fans would have been very upset to lose Barrios and Buxton within the same year and not have those players back. I know yesterday Gord talked on the show about the Twins want to sell tickets and you got to have Byron Buxton here to do that. So I think, you know, some of the stuff I was reading too about the numbers of the deal, the length and, you know, the 100 million, that's great. that is a good deal. There was another story I was reading that said, you know, if he's healthy all the time, you could be talking about a $300 million player here, you know, so it's almost like, well, maybe it's okay that he's not out there all the time, because then you'd be talking about the Minnesota fans saying how, you know, cheap the team is because they're going to let him go and they can't sign him because he's too expensive or something. But, you know, the other thing I thought of too, because this is the biggest extension, I think, since Joe Mauer, and this may be a weird way to look at it with Buxton, but we already know he's injury prone. So like with Mauer, I feel like he signed that contract and then, you know, more of his injury issues came up and, you know, a lot of fans kind of turned on him and said, oh, $184 million and he's hurt all the time. With Buxton, like, we already know that. So that's the possibility of him getting hurt. I think, you know, last year the biggest deal was he got hit on the hand by pitch, which wasn't his fault. And he's, you know, changed the way he plays to not run into walls like he has in the past, which I think is good, obviously. But I feel like we already know he's injury prone. So if he plays a full season, if he doesn't get injured, that's almost like a bonus. And we don't have to necessarily worry about, okay, he signed for all this money. Now is he going to get hurt? Like, well, we already know he's been hurt. So it's almost like this kind of reverse way to look at the deal in some ways, because he already has been hurt a lot. But like we've talked about, when he is on the field, the Twins' record the past few years is so much better with him in the lineup. So, you know, it's a good deal. I think, you know, I've said too on the show, I'd rather see him here and play half the games than go somewhere else. Because, you know, if he goes somewhere else, then he will be healthy, of course. But I'd rather have him on this team. And I think some of the things he's said has been really good too. Like he's made statements saying, I want to be here. The Twins drafted me. I want to stay here. And so I think that was nice to see that they got the deal done. And I'm excited that he's here and he didn't, you know, he's not going to go somewhere else, that he's going to be a part of this organization.
Willi, I don't feel as if I need to preface anything I say to you because you can stand up and take care of yourself. I mean, there's a reason why you don't get into verbal battles with a comedian, right? And but that's sort of my job. So I knew you were always in favor of keeping Buxton. My stance on this was always the Twins had to do their due diligence. They had to see what the potential market was for his services. What could they get back if he's not there? Because you know what? He's not in the lineup a lot. This deal appears to be incentive laden to keep the price tag reasonable, at least in baseball terms. Max Scherzer got a 2-year deal for like $130 million yesterday. He's a pitcher. You know, so this is right, the Mets versus the Twins. Right. To hit those elevator numbers, Byron needs to be in the lineup every day, something he has never been able to do. So why was extending Buxton the right move for Byron and for the Twins? Because he could have held out and maybe got more money just from somebody else.
Well, it's two-pronged. The one reason I like this deal, probably the same reason Heather likes it, because it is incentive laced. Because you don't get that money unless you're playing. That's not guaranteed money like Joe Mauer and like our quarterback, where it doesn't matter what you do, you still get that guaranteed money. He has to be in the lineup, and I think he'll do whatever he can. I think they did do their due diligence. I think they really found out that at the end of the day, we're better with this guy. And if we give him a nice contract, and if we, we pack it with incentives, then and that's where you make your money. You make your money on showing up every day and playing, just like you do at your job. You don't show up every day. Eventually, you run out of vacation days, and then you wind up having to take, time off without pay. And that's what he's going to be losing money every time he's out injured or what have you. But at the end of the day, I think it's a great deal for the Twins. I think it's a great deal for Minnesota. It's a great deal for Byron. And it showed that the second part of it, it showed that he wanted to stay here. He could have went somewhere else for big bucks, but he wants to play here. And these are the kind of players that Minnesota Twins fans love, is guys that want to be here and will take less money to stay here. And I think that's what Torrey Hunter wanted to do, and they let him go as well. But at the end of the day, you gotta make it right by these guys. And they, like he said, they drafted him. He wanted to show them that they didn't make a mistake on it. So I like the deal. If it was guaranteed money, then no. But I do like the fact that it has a lot of incentives in it, and I think they did their homework. I believe they did, and I trust that this was the right move.
And now we'll talk about the pending lockout. No, we won't. Another day.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's
Not
coming.
right now.
I'm telling you, we could be within days of this happening. So that's the timing of that whole deal too. Let's talk about something a lot more exciting. The Minnesota Timberwolves went into this season saying that they were going to play defense and that this year things were going to be different. Well, guess what? Those weren't just empty promises. The Wolves rallied from 12 down last night to slip past the Pacers 198 at Target Center, earning their 7th win in their last 8 games and improving. Is it 11-10 or 10-9? 11-10? I think maybe 11-10. I don't want to short them again, but they're over.
It's 11. It's 11-10.
11-10. Thank you. And they're over 500 for the season. Now, for weeks, we've been saying just how fun the Minnesota Wild have been to watch. But everything you can say about the Wild, you can say about the T-Wolves, because this group is resilient. This group has character, and DT every night, it's a different man stepping up to get it done. Am I right?
Yes.
How fun is this?
No, it's fun. You're right. It's been fun. It's been fun to watch them. It's been fun to watch the Wild. And I watched the Timberwolves game last night, going back and forth between Monday Night Football. And then I was working out this morning, and actually the replay was on. And I watched the replay of like the first quarter because I was like, man, I'm watching a replay of the Timberwolves. And, it's exciting to have some buzz and some energy around the team and to watch, all of them play, Cat, Ant, D'Lo step up and playing. D'Lo's even playing defense, which is what he is notoriously known to not play. So when someone says something they're going to do, then they go out and do it. It builds credibility, and we're really excited about the team right now. So yes, I'm excited.
This is a question for any of you. And Darrell, maybe if you did watch the game going back and forth, if you look at the stat line for Josh Okogie, you'd think he didn't even play. He had 3 points, I think, last night. But did you see the block by Okogie with 30 seconds left in the game and the game on the line? I'm sure that did not make ESPN's top 10 last night, and it should have, because that man made that play look easy. He was beating off the dribble. That play was not easy, and that was phenomenal.
He has a role. I mean, he plays. He's incredibly athletic, and he can knock down, threes and things like that. But his role is defense and energy, and it's infectious through him, through Patrick Beverly, through the whole team. So now Ant, they're like, oh, what? We're going to play defense. It makes your sport a lot better. Willie knows better than I do. I'm not a total basketball guy, but I think defense always wins in every single sport.
Absolutely. And that kid is so athletic. It's incredible how he did that without even touching the guy. It's embarrassing as an NBA player to get your shot blocked like that. And let's not even bring up the fact that Cat put in 32 last night. I'm just saying.
Before he fouled out and had to have Nas pull it down, and how this team started to play defense after Ant got here.
He put 32 in, Tim. He put 32 in. That was 11 more than anybody else. So he
Buckets.
put in his work and he went side down. That's what Cat does. That's his
Buckets.
he did. He put in work.
After he complains about every call against him.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's Karl Malone. That's Karl Malone.
He does need to move on from that. Just laying on the ground like a 5-year-old. He needs to move on.
You get them calls, man. We had players that used to do. Terry Keekly was our guy. You take that charge and you lay there in agony till that ref blows that whistle.
No,
we wanted to be intentional.
He needs to charge a few more times and stand up and just deal with what's going on.
To back up, two of those wins that they got in the last week, beating Jimmy Buckets, which we talked about last week, but to get the win over Embiid in Philadelphia, because Embiid takes Cat to the shed every time because he hates him because he got drafted in front of him. So it was nice to have a team go in there. I don't care how many guys Philadelphia were without. I'm just tired of watching Embiid beat up Cat and take his lunch money. So it's really great to see the Wolves get that win. So we knew the bad teams they were beating, but now they've beaten 3 teams in a row that were in the playoffs last year.
I think you're right. They're playing defense. And honestly, that's in having that team together the way they are. And I said that you've got to have 3 guys on the floor competing every single game, but you got to have a bench. And that's one thing. And Prince I can't say enough about him. I mean, it was guys coming off the bench. Yeah, they're coming out. They're doing work, man. And I think when you go 7, 8 deep, you're a playoff contender. Seriously. And I think that's where they're at. And I think I'm going to move ahead of my prediction and saying I was going to wait till halfway through the season. But the way they're playing right now, I don't see them going backwards. I see them losing a game or 2 here and there, but I don't see them falling off the rails. I think they getting that confidence right now that they can play with anybody.
Yeah. And Cat said after the game, we want to win. That's just it. We weren't going to fold. We want to win. Gatorade signed Hopkins native and last year's NCAA Player of the Year Paige Beckers as its first ever college athlete to an endorsement deal. Beckers, the 20-year-old basketball phenom from the University of Connecticut, agreed to a multi-year deal with PepsiCo Inc.-owned sports drink to join its athletic roster. As part of the arrangement, she will promote the brand in television commercials, social posts, product collaborations, and events with a focus on boosting women's basketball. Both parties declined to disclose the financial terms of the agreement. Beckers has emerged as the big money prototype now with 2 major deals in place, but now her teammates are also garnering interest. UConn senior Olivia Nelson-Ododa partnering with Fabletics, and freshman Azizi Fudd signed with Chipotle and BioSteel, while both Kristen Williams and Carolyn Ducharme recently signed with agency XL Sports Management to manage their NIL deals. Heather, I know we've talked about the subject before, but how exciting is it to see female athletes getting these endorsement deals?
It's awesome. And I think it's anything like this is progress in that, the right direction of stuff like this becoming more normal. And, hopefully eventually not necessarily as newsworthy as it is. I think I saw a story recently. I want to say it was about a female official. I can't remember which sport or league level it was, but, I think one of her quotes is something like, well, I'm just out here as an official. Like, it's not a big deal. And, I think that's the one thing I'm always interested to talk to women in sports about is just this idea of, recognizing, their accomplishments, how cool it is, but at the same time, kind of asking about down the line and, how cool would this be if this just became how it is and mainstream. And, I think everything like this is progress toward that. You're not going to get there overnight, but I think, anything like this, and Paige Beckers is, a phenomenal basketball player and really, represents, her team. And obviously we claim her as one of us too, but, anything like this is just great toward that progress. And it's cool to see that, these companies too are recognizing that. And with these endorsement deals, it's not just, the players out there doing stuff. It's you have other people buying in. You have, I've talked to different coaches too. You have men out there who are supporting this. It's not just like this big group of women that are just, supporting each other. And so I think anything like this moves the needle, and it's good to see.
Amen. Finally, I'd like to close by acknowledging the passing of PGA golfer Lee Elder at the age of 87. Never the most inclusive organization. The PGA finally invited Elder back to Augusta last April for the opening ceremonies of the Masters, but by then, Elder was so frail he was unable to join Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player in hitting a ceremonial opening drive. And they only did it as a result of the George Floyd situation and the awakening that had happened across the country. Willi Myles, can you help put us in Lee Elder's golf shoes as he breaks the color barrier at golf's most sacred place in the Deep South in 1975?
Oh, I wish I could. It brings me to tears. This in 1975. I mean, I was a kid, and we were glued to the TV, man. We were glued to the TV. I mean, it was just there's certain years in my life, Tim, that I can pinpoint exactly what I was doing and where I was at. From the time I was 6 years old to the time I was like 15, all this stuff that happened. And Lee Elder and Calvin Pete are the two reasons why I wanted to play golf. Because those are the guys I know. And there was other, Cliff Stafford, so forth. Those were a lot of great golfers. But that guy showing up at the Masters with all that surrounding him and the way they treated him, it just broke my heart. And what he did as a man that stood up on that tee and how he played and how he carried himself, it reminds me of Jackie Robinson. You know what I mean? Like they didn't let it get to him. And it just showed you how strong you can be inside, but know that people hate you, not because you can't play. You deserve to be there. He earned the right to be there, but just getting there was just, but he meant so much to golf. He meant so much to African-American golfers. And I know people keep saying that why you have to bring up color. It is what it is. That's what it is. That's what it was. And that was the only reason it was. It wasn't his ability. It had to be that. So he fought through it. And you're right. When they did that, when he was that old, I mean, that was really sad because he should have been brought back years ago. And they knew that. And that's really sad. And, but I'm happy for what they did at the end because it did give him that level of status he didn't need, but he deserved.
DT?
Well, we stand on his shoulders. If not for him, I might not be here today doing, what I'm doing, from the broadcast booth to, playing football. And to me, he's like the quarterback, the middle linebacker, the point guard that was, you were never given an opportunity because blacks didn't have the intelligence. To me, I think it's heartbreaking, but it's also, it's life. And I think, we're evolving as a country and as a community, and hopefully we continue to evolve. But I have the utmost respect for him and what he did and what he went through because, 1975, I was about 8 years old. So I was just a kid, and it was just a clip, and it wasn't, we didn't have Sports Center and ESPN and, all the different formats that we have, even what we have right now, obviously. So obviously it's a bittersweet day.
Yeah, I remember prior to 75 watching the Masters. My parents were not sports people. I mean, I was the weirdo in the house, the youngest of five who had to watch sports all the time. Everybody else was like, can't we watch a normal show? But I remember watching the Masters and looking at my dad and saying, Dad, how come all the players are white? And who are the guys in the white outfits with the green caps? Because they're all black, and why is that? And now you think about it, that's how those people made their lives, right? And none of them anymore. I mean, I don't know if they're there at Augusta on a regular day, but they're not anybody's bag at the Masters, and they were at that time. So I just that was one of those moments where you're in homogeneously Caucasian White Bear Lake, Minnesota. I knew nobody of color at that time, right? And to see that on TV, and even like the Vikings were sort of like 50-50 at that time. As I was getting to sports, there was black people, there was white people. But this in golf, I'm going, how come all the players are white and all the guys doing all the work carrying the bags are not? And my dad was like, well, I can't remember what he said, but it's one of those things that struck me. And to see somebody who came from that background to be in the Deep South and to play at that time where they don't want you. And he's probably, God knows what they're saying to him, writing to him, doing all the rest of it. I get nervous on the first tee of a par 3 with people I know. How do you do that?
No, there's a
You get
reason it's
used to
called
it.
the Masters. I mean,
Right.
it's a very simple. There's a reason it's called the Masters, and that's but the barrier was there. It's a reason it's called the Masters.
Hand to God. That's the
Yes.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it, brother, and know that the caddies didn't come through the front gate. And I've traveled all around this country, and I've golfed at some of the top elite golf courses in the world, and the caddies won't come right down the same road I come around. They dress in a different place, but they come down the same road. They park in the parking lot, you know, and they don't get to eat out back, you know. It reminds me of Jesse Owens, man. That's when the guy won the Olympics. And then, you know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt wouldn't even call him, telegram him, or he invited every white athlete from the Olympics to the White House except for Jesse Owens. And Jesse won all the medals. And his best friends was the guy he beat in Germany. You know, I mean, that's sad. You know, Long Lutz. That was his buddy.
Much work still to be done.
Tons.
Yeah, and we got to get Heather to the bowling alley.
What did you bowl last
On
week,
that
Heather?
note.
What'd you get?
I
it out.
think
Give
my,
it
my
out.
game,
Real
I had a
numbers.
142. I think I started off kind of. I had to change my approach. The lanes had a lot of oil on them, so it was a rough start. Yeah, it was a rough start.
Here we go.
Heather said the lanes was pretty slick. I had to change the. So you had to rub your ball down.
It was not great. It was not great. No, I threw like 3 gutter balls. I think so. Yeah.
You hadn't bowled in a while either.
I remember.
Yeah, I had.
I remember one time I lost the 200 meters and I said the track was too soft.
I mean,
I said it had a lot of give in it. I couldn't push off. But then I realized I was running against Harvey Glance, Steve Williams, and Houston McNiff. I should have came in 4th, and I did. But I thought the track was kind of soft. But I think it was because they were so fast, they were heating up the track, and I was so far behind. I got caught in a draft.
Well, you just have to adjust. I adjusted eventually. I got a few more strikes than I usually get, so I just had to adjust. So
once you felt that what the slickness was like, then you're like, okay, I got to play outside this arrow and make it go. Okay, I get you. You.
We'll be pulling for you today. Hit them big. We are in your corner. We're supportive. Yeah. Hey, guys, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming in. We didn't even touch Tiger Woods. We're out of time. You know, this is part of the reason why I wanted to do this show. I wanted different voices. I wanted different people, and I wanted different perspectives, and something that you're not going to see or you're not going to hear somewhere else. And I appreciate the fact that you guys can come in and give me that perspective, you know, and the rest of us too. So spread the word. This is what we want to do. We want to have a conversation where people get different voices and different opinions, and we want you to opine. We want to hear from you and let you, you know, give an opportunity to weigh in, because that's why we do this. So it's Let's Play every day. We're here every day from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow. We hope you will be too. We thank you. We thank Northern Lids for your sponsorship. I thank you, gentlemen, and Heather, for your time and for your contributions. And when given the choice to either sit on the sidelines or get in the game, you know what to do. Let's play.